You or someone you love needs help for an addiction. Where do you turn? Foundations Recovery Network offers individualized treatment for the whole person. Our goal goes beyond short-term sobriety. We address substance abuse and co-occurring mental health issues together, providing a firm foundation for long-term recovery. The first step is often the hardest, but we're here with a free assessment, insurance information, and treatment options. Our confidential helpline is available 24/7, so call 877-714-1318 and discover the Foundations Recovery Network difference today.
Yo, what's up? This is Jacoby from Papa Roach.
This is Ryan Leaf.
This is Rich Roll, and you're listening to Sober Guy Radio.
Yo, what's up? Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks to Humans for bringing us in. Thanks to you for supporting the show. Super stoked to be a part of this awesome recovery movement going on from the West Coast to the East Coast and abroad. So much love to all you out there, and especially for those of you vets who've helped pave the way for us in recovery, going down our own path and our own journey. And we're doing our part to give back to down the line. It's that domino effect. A couple of announcements. And then we're going to get to our guest today, my homie Mike Gambo, who I'm super stoked to talk about. He's got an awesome story and some great things and great work that he's doing in the music industry as well as the recovery industry. We're going to be in Nashville June 19th and 20th for the Innovations in Behavioral Healthcare Conference that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing some shows, connecting with some great people. If you want more information on the event or how you can get tickets to go to the Foundations Behavioral Healthcare Conference, go to foundationsevents.com and you can check out the speaker list. There's a ton of great speakers, great opportunities to connect with people in recovery, in the recovery industry. Big thanks to Foundations for having us out, of course. One of the tools that I use is Transitions Daily. It's a daily AA email, and it's delivered right to my inbox. It's simple. It's free. It really does help me start my day, and I would highly recommend it to you out there if you want a great, easy way to start your day. So for more information, you can go to dailyaaemails.com. You can sign up there, and they'll deliver that shit right to your inbox every damn day, and you'll have a great way to wake up and get your day started. All right, so today's guest is Mike Gambo. Mike's a writer, he's a hip-hop artist, he's also the co-owner of Hood Hippie Entertainment, and he works for Transformations Treatment Center and also helps with their recovery music program, Soundpath Recovery. Now, in his early 20s, Mike struggled with addiction to opiates. He's now been clean and sober since 2012, and Mike uses his past experiences, his talents through music as a way to help and encourage others out there looking for a better life free from addiction. Mike is out in Florida, and that's why I was excited to say in the little intro from the West Coast to the East Coast, because we really are coming together all across the nation and the world to help bring some light and some hope, I guess, to this addiction epidemic and crisis that's going on all over the place. So, Mike, what's up, my man? Really good to have you on the show today. How are you?
What's up, bud? I'm good, man. Can't complain.
Yes, dude. You got lots of good things going on. You and I met down in San Diego at the Foundations conference down there, which was cool, man. And it was funny. I remember right when you came up and you said, "What's up, man? I'm Mike. I'm actually a musician. I'm a hip hop artist." And I remember the first time I heard you speak, I was like, "Oh, dude's got a good voice. It's that baritone voice, man. It's some good stuff." So, yeah, man. So, how long have you been in the hip hop game and creating music?
Man, that's like a story in itself. Like when I was long story short, basically, like, my parents got a computer back in the day, and like, this is like, we're talking like 16 years ago, and they used to, like, when they sold computers at like Comp USA, they used to give you like this sample pack of like CDs and programs, like CD-ROMs. And they had like a music production one that was just like in the bundle, and I started playing with it, and it, like I started making beats, and you know, I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And, kind of just snowballed from there to like I opened up a little studio, and then I didn't really start rapping until I was about like, I'd say like 17, 18.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been a while. It's been probably about 15 years I've been involved, but I'd say serious for a few years, you know, basically after I got sober and was like, you know what, I have this passion, let me try to do something with it.
I'm just stoked that you dropped Comp USA. That's so funny, bro, because I totally I remember that shit too. And like they had the little sample packs, and you could get, like, I don't even remember what any of the programs might have been, but just playing around with it. And you know, I can remember my old Tascam 4-track cassette and sitting in my apartment and just like messing around with it and trying to mix things together, man. And those are good times, man. That's where the roots really come from and really start. Yeah, it was like I said, it, you know, I think it was called Magic's Music Maker. Or it's like it was like an old like loop. It was like a gave you like a bunch of loops, and you could like chop down the loop. It was basically like a sampling. Yeah, that's like all it was, you know. So that's how I started in music. So you had, you know, and I had checked out some of your music, and we'll have the links to that in the show notes for those out there listening. The SoundCloud, Mike's got a ton of music on there. One of the ones that I recently saw is Mike did a video for Missing, the song Missing, and the video is sick. And I'm gonna let Mike here explain a little bit to you about the video, and then we're gonna play a quick little sample of the song because I want you guys out there listening to hear what's going on in Mike's writing style, the creation, and then the message that's going out there, because I'm almost positive that many of us have been in that same spot. So tell us a little bit about the video, Missing, Mike, and then we're going to get into some more of your story and some more about the work you're doing also after that. Sure. Yeah, it was that song was off of my EP, the most recent one I just dropped, called Dual Perspective, which is the kind of theme behind it is it's not only about addiction, it's about a lot of social stuff, political stuff also. It's kind of like seeing things from all angles. Like, you know, like I understand the perspective of people that are poor and broke and struggling. I also understand the perspective of, you know, people that may not ever experience that, because I don't experience that any longer, but I kind of see things from the middle. You know what I mean? Like not everybody's right, not everybody's wrong. They're all right from their own perspective. So that's kind of the theme behind it. But Missing was like a song that I really wanted to like take myself back to like that breaking point, like, you know, where I was at when just like that. I mean, anybody that feels it, just like that emptiness that I had, like that's pretty much what the song is about, is like feeling like I'm always missing something and I never knew what it was. And I tried to fill that with all types of stuff. And it wasn't until like I had this spiritual awakening and I found God that I realized like that's what I've been missing my whole life, is that love of God, you know? So, I mean, you know, it's like pretty, like, you know, anybody in recovery that's heard it has been like, I know what you're talking about. You know, dude, for but sure. Also people not in recovery. You know, I have a lot of friends that aren't in recovery that everybody, I think, has a point in their life where they just feel like they do not fit in, or they're missing something, or what is it that I need to find to make myself complete, you know? And that's kind of what the song's about. I love that you said that too, man, because I heard this probably, I don't know, maybe a year or two back, and it's something that's always stuck with me. And, It was a guy, and he told me that a man's soul is so big that there's nothing that can fulfill that soul except the Spirit of God. So if we're trying to run through, you know, cars and money and drugs and sex and all those things that we feel in this worldly spot that, you know, make us feel good or make us feel important or fulfill us or whatever it is, we still get that empty feeling. And I know, I think that's why, just like you said, so many people in recovery and those out of recovery can relate to the song, because it really does express that. So let me hit play here real quick, and let's listen to a little bit of this, Mike. Thanks, man. All right. Guys, once again, this is off the EP Dual Perspective, and this will be in the show notes so you can find it and check it out, and more of the songs on there too.
Look, through my trials and tribulations, I was waiting on a blessing. Head barely above water through this wave of depression. Doctor got me hooked on these meds and he dispensing, but without him I felt crazy with no way to break the tension. No matter what I did, I kept going in that direction. Heart full of hatred, unable to display affection. Wishing I would die, God delaying my ascension. Not knowing he had plans for me once I gave him attention. I ain't see this blessing, I was living with my eyes low. Liquor in my liver, shoving pills in my pie hole. Something kept me living, wishing for the day that I go. Pistol in my mouth, too pussy to let the shot blow. I'm glad I made it through the storm and got to see his vision. Cause many lives lost from the way that I was living. God's sense of humor sometimes feels sickening, cause I had to lose myself just to find what I was missing. It's strange.
Man, how many of us out there can relate to some of that, man? If not all of it. It's just, it's real, it's raw. Mike, what does it make you feel like when you hear that shit back? Obviously, I know how it is recording stuff, and you record it over and over and over sometimes and trying to get it just right. And so my point being, you may hear the song over and over, but I know for me, it always tends to bring back something different. At the same time, it brings back some of those old feelings. What does that do for you when you hear that song?
It just, to be honest, it just keeps everything real for me. That whole, the kind of story with that whole EP was, I got an opportunity to go on tour. And I was focusing more on all the other artists within Hood Hippie. I kind of fell back for like a year just to focus on pushing other artists and getting some business stuff in just up to par. And I wasn't really focused on my solo career. And I got an opportunity, and I had 6 weeks to make an EP. So I could have something to push while I'm on tour. So like that whole EP, including that song, was like, a lot of times with music, especially when you are trying to make it a career, like you try to overthink stuff and like, what is going to be a hit? Like, is this song going to, if I put a bridge here and a hook here and do this kind of tone, is that going to be a radio hit? And with this project, it was like, I don't have time to overthink this. Like, I literally just have to like throw a beat on and just let the pen move, and whatever comes out, record it and move to the next one. So like, it was a very natural thing for me. Like it was just very real. Like that is, there is no, I'm not saying that to target a recovery audience. It's not like a marketing scheme. It was like, this is real. Like, this is how I was, this is where I was at, and this is how I felt.
I think it definitely speaks volumes to that, man. And it comes across like that. And I think that's, I know for me, that's why it resonated so much, because it was real, it was raw, and it was right in your face. And it was like, this is how it is. And I love that you kind of, talk about that and just getting in there and putting it down. Don't you kind of find that when you do that, or when you're forced to do that, almost that's when some of the best content comes out, because it's that real creative process. Like you said, it's not a gimmick scheme. It's not for marketing. It's not for anything. this is what it is. And if you like it, great. If you don't, kind of like fuck off anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I have, I have some songs that like I made because I thought that's what people wanted to hear. And I mean, they're good songs. Like I have some songs right now, and I have a song right now in rotation on the radio in Florida, that was a single off the Hood Hippie compilation last year. And it's more of a party song, and it's the same old thing. I'm not talking about using drugs, but I'm talking about, like taking your girl and got the money and got the clothes and but it's funny, like as soon as this project really made me see things from like a different perspective. No pun intended. So like it was it was one of those things where like now, like I'm about to drop another EP, which is, very real, and people are really responding to it. I think that like as an artist, a lot of times we try to impress people, One of the things I actually teach at Soundpath is to be expressive, not impressive. That's like one of our mission statements. And it's like, it's funny. Like once I heard that, I was like, man, it's real, because people can feel that conviction behind music.
Yeah.
When you really say it with your chest, I mean, people can really feel that.
Say it with your chest, motherfucker. That's that Kevin Hart just reminded me of.
Yeah.
But man, you're on point on that too, because people relate to that, and people can feel that. People can feel when you're authentic. People can feel when it's not. And especially, man, dude, the music industry, not that I'm some expert in by any means, but we all know that it's changing like crazy as it has evolved from going and buying records in a record store to now digital. There's a lot of touring involved. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. And so you're having to find creative ways to do different things. And I know that's probably got to be tough. There's a lot of different components to it. And then on top of that, you're trying to have a business, trying to make a living, at the same time work a recovery program. So I'd like to kind of transition into that, if that's cool with you. And I'd like to hear a little bit about, some of your past experiences before you got sober. Like, what was life like, and how, like, what kind of path were you going down before you had the opportunity to make some changes?
Yeah. So I was kind of like the normal kid growing up. Played like a lot of sports. I was a jock. I was like in the popular crowd, homecoming court and all that good stuff. And I didn't even really do drugs during high school. Like I drank a little bit and I smoked a little bit of pot. Like, well, other than that, like there was nothing. About halfway, the beginning of my senior year, I messed up my ankle in training camp really bad before football. And that was like, I played football all my life.
Yeah.
And, your senior year at high school, like, I was going to be starting quarterback and, rolled my ankle, like just on some dumb stuff. And I was out for 8 weeks. And so basically missed the whole season. I think like after that, like it really put me in this like dark spot. Like everything I worked so hard for my whole life just got taken from me type deal. I might have been a little overly dramatic, but I mean, as an 18-year-old kid, that's what I was. That was my life, and I started.
And everything changed right there then for you. In other words, because you're kind of banking on that. That's you almost create this identity around that, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's taken away from you. It's like, who the fuck am I now?
Yeah, exactly, and once that happened, I started. I don't know, man. Something in me switched. I still don't know. Can't put my finger on it, but it was one of those things where I started selling drugs. Like I started selling weed, and really just weed. I sold a lot of weed like my senior year of high school, and because I didn't really do drugs or smoke a lot of weed, I started to make a lot of money, to the point that where about 3 months before I was supposed to graduate, I dropped out of high school. And I made a decision. I was going to be a full-time drug dealer. I was just going to get my GED so my parents could get off my back and then just sell drugs. That only lasted about 1.5 years. And then like I was about 19 when the pills really hit hard. Mm-hmm. Like when all of a sudden everybody was hooked on perks. And, so being the entrepreneur I was, I decided to, switch my product over to that. And just hanging around with people that did them all day, I got curious and I tried it. When I tried it, it gave me that feeling I was always looking for. Yeah. And that snowballed, I'd say over 6 years of me on that path is snowballed from, just taking them here and there to spending all my money on it, to losing relationships and jobs. And I mean, the whole nine, been in jail a couple times. I was on probation for 6 years and violated 3 times while on probation. I've been to probably 30 or 40 detoxes. Like there was a free detox place. I never had insurance or anything like that growing up. So there was a free detox place by my house, and I a regular customer. I mean, I walked in there, they knew me. What's
up, Mike? How you doing? You come to detox today? Damn,
exactly.
crazy, man.
So and that was just my path for 6 years.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I was homeless. I was on the methadone clinic for like the 4th time. I was still using benzos on top of it. I was messing around with dope on top of it. It just progressed into like this beast to where by 8 o'clock in the morning, I would take my methadone, pop a couple of Xanax, and if anybody's ever done that before, knows it's like a super drug. Yeah. And by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'd be drooling on myself, completely oblivious to what's going on in the world, sleeping on a bench because I'm homeless, and just got to the point that where I knew that I either had to get clean or I was going to die. Like, I was just like, I can't live like this, so I have to die or I have to get clean. And my little brother, he also struggled, and he got clean when he was 21. So he was clean, and he was managing a halfway house in Florida. So he was like, look, man, just get on a plane and come down and we'll figure something out. So that's what I did. Took a leap of faith. And I got down here, and it's a lot different than Delaware, where I'm from. And there isn't a whole bunch of free options. So, I had to do it the old school way, sweat it out on a halfway house couch for 3 weeks, coming off methadone. And
how old were you at this time?
I was 26.
26.
Yeah, so
you did all that from basically like 20 to 26. Like that's a rough estimate of like as it really progressed and got to the worst extent by the time you turned 26.
Yeah, about 6 years. About 6 years of just going hard, just 100 miles an hour for 6 years.
When you were going through that, obviously there were times when when you use those drugs and you're high and you can escape reality, and so you don't have to feel, you kind of numb it out. But what about the times where you felt like you did have some control, some sense of spirit and feeling? Like how did you feel at that time? Like did you know that you had a bad problem, that it was getting worse? Did you want to get help, but you just couldn't find it in you to follow through with it? Like, what was that part of it like the mental prison, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I needed help. I knew it. Like I said, I'd been to detox tons of times.
Yeah.
I went to a 6-month program and literally got high the day I got out.
Damn, that's crazy. And you stayed sober for those 6 months, and then after that,
I did sneak a pill in there one time in like the middle of it, but I was like clean for like 3 months, got high, no one found out, waited another 3 months, got out, got high. Like literally the day I got out, like the last month there, you can work to save money.
Yeah.
And I had like $1,000 saved up, and I literally went to the bus station. I was like, I can jump on this bus to go back to my parents' house, or I can jump on this bus and go to my drug dealer. And I went to my drug dealer's house. And it was just like, I just couldn't. I think the biggest thing with me, and something that I always try to tell people is like, yeah, we can focus on like the addiction concept and, you're an addict and you can't use, and the powerlessness and all that. But I think like the biggest thing for me was like setting goals and like trying to like make something of myself, because I was extremely lost in life. I would be clean and I'm like, all right, I'm clean for 6 months. I'm, 24, living with my parents. I make $300 a week. Like, like, what now? It was always like that what now experience that always took me back out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had nothing to really live for still.
Yeah.
Like, I was sober, but like, so I might as well do what I know, what I'm good at, which is selling drugs, getting high and partying.
Were you doing music at that time, or were you attempting to, or were you messing with it a little bit, but it wasn't anything that was serious?
It was kind of different where I'm from. There's not really a lot of outlets. Like I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, which is like 20 minutes south of Philly. And, you know, it's a bad little city and all the clubs get shut down because people don't know how to act. And so there wasn't really a lot of outlets. I mean, I was doing music. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But, you know, I had some opportunities that I definitely messed up due to drugs. Like I won this.
You had a passion for it, though. I guess.
Yeah. I had a big passion. I was always writing.
Yeah.
Always had a little studio set up in my house, you know, before I was homeless, and, you know, recorded. It was just different back then. It was harder to get your music out. You know, you had MySpace. That's about it.
Well, and the reason I kind of bring that up is because you said something that really hits home with me too. Is like I know I felt that way. Big time, like just lost. Like I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel like I knew myself. I didn't feel like a man. I felt like a boy, like this 30-year-old boy or 25-year-old boy still, you know? And I think for that, you had mentioned like searching, like I'm searching for something. We're all, I think, you know, searching for a purpose. At least I know I was at that time in particularly. And when I found something that I was passionate about and that I was able to dive into, you know, that coupled with some recovery programs and some different communities and some changes and stuff really helped to change things for me in finding that love of something. And in turn, it helped me love myself. And all this, of course, I'm sure you're very familiar with in going through recovery programs and learning these things by talking to other people and putting ourselves out there. Was that something that you kind of found in your music? Like once you kind of got sobered up, did music help you along in that process?
Yeah, definitely. It was funny. Like people used to, at the halfway house, like used to get on me because like I would just sit in my room when I wasn't working or anything and just like have the headphones on and would just write.
Yeah.
And like, it was just really therapeutic to me. Like, you know, it was crazy too, getting sober. Like I had to learn how to rap again.
Yeah.
Like I sucked when I first got sober. I was horrible. And like, you know, I listened to music like that I made when I had like 8 months sober the first time in the studio again. And it's horrible. And
well, it's a whole different vibe, man. It's a whole different experience because you're not in that element of drugs and alcohol that kind of, you know, I guess I don't want to say lift you up, but it's definitely completely different. How did you find the new style, like the new sober mic? Like how did it just kind of come out with doing it, or was there something that you really had to be patient with and just kind of let it evolve on its own?
Yeah, it was like it wasn't really the like the lyrics were always there. I always could write. Yeah. Like I was in gifted programs all my life for expressive writing. Like at my writing levels, I suck at math, but my writing levels are super high. So I was always really good with like communicating. So I could write. It was just like, it wasn't like actually rapping. And then, oh my God, my first show down here, like at an open mic, like I was as stiff as the mic stand, you know, like, and like, you know, I think it was just something like, you know, just doing it. And then as I, you know, continued to like actually work on myself and recover, I started to like get that self-esteem and that self-confidence back.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point to where I didn't care what anybody else thought about me. So like, I'm just going to go fully hard. I'm not going to overthink about it. I'm just going to like have fun, do me. If you don't like my music, then like, that's cool. If you like it, like, that's cool. Like, I don't care either way. Yeah. And once I got to that point, you know, I became the artist that I am now.
Yeah, I think you said have fun, man. And that's such a huge thing, just in life in general, even for those who aren't in recovery, just trying to have genuine fun and genuine joy and feel that in the day-to-day grind. It can be tough sometimes. We all got responsibilities. Some of us have families, we have jobs, we have all those types of things. And then you throw in the element of recovery and they're trying to stay sober. It can be tough to laugh, just to have some genuine fun sometimes. It's such an important element of life, I think. And when you're doing something that you love, sometimes it's hard to find that when it starts to get too serious. And I'm only bringing this up right now because like with the podcast thing, you know, obviously recovery is a serious topic. We talk about a lot of serious shit. People have gnarly stories and they've been through some shit in their lives that, you know, some human beings should not have to experience. At that, how do you kind of flip that and enjoy the day to day by like living in the moment? So, Let me stop and kind of ask you a question, I guess, in all of this that I just rambled on about. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do in your recovery program to have fun, man? Like, how do you be light and enjoy each day?
At this point, like, I just try to live like a regular human being. Like, the one thing that I see happens a lot is like people get stuck in like this recovery bubble.
Yeah.
Where like all they do is like, like go to meetings and go to coffee shops and go bowling with like people from their home group. And like, it's like a monotonous thing. And like, they're scared to like, like be a normal person, and like 80% of my friends, my closest friends, are not in recovery. Like I go out all the time and they're at the bar drinking and, people always say, go to the barber shop enough, you get a haircut and all that stuff. But it's like, no, it's like, if you don't sit in the chair, you don't get a haircut. Like I can sit there all day and shoot the shit with somebody, and, that's the thing with me is like, I live a very, very normal life. Like I have regular friends, like, yes, they drink. But guess what? They're not alcoholics. Like they might smoke weed here and there. Guess what? They're not addicts. Like I hate that, like that misconception of like anyone that drinks or like uses some kind of drug recreationally, like is a bad person. Yeah. Because like at the end of the day, like the drugs and the alcohol is the smallest part of what we have going on with us. And, the biggest thing that I always take out of the program is principles over personalities. So someone's personality, just because they drink or something like that, or whatever it may be, like as long as they're good people, like they're kind, they take care of their responsibilities, they have that glow to them. Like that's all that matters to me. That's the people that I like to hang around with. Like Hood Hippie, it's about 10 of us. Uh-huh. These guys, all of us are ex-drug dealers. A lot of these guys are felons, ex-gang members. Well, I'm not going to, like they were wrapped up in gangs. Like 4 of them are legit blood members. But they don't engage in those activities anymore. Like that was one of the things that I did in my recovery to take what I learned and give it to other people. I risked a lot. I got a house, I built a studio in it, and I moved these guys from Wilmington, which is, if anybody can research Wilmington, Delaware, and they don't realize it, it's one of the worst cities in the country right now for murders and violence. Really? But it's ranked, I think, number 6. Per capita, it would have more murders than Chicago.
Just being the community size versus to how many murders there are, in other words.
It's only 60,000 people, and I think like 97 people have been murdered so far this year.
Damn, that's crazy. Probably a lot of those drug related, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's really bad. A lot of young kids, people. That's really what it is. It's these kids growing up with no guidance because their parents are strung out. Everybody's on pills or dope, and it's a crazy city. But I got them out, and now they all have jobs. They one just got his own place, moved his family down, and this is stuff that I try to tell people, like, we're supposed to practice what we learn in all of our affairs, not just keep it in a church basement or at inner group, or, we're supposed to like really spread this love that and this compassion that we receive to everybody we come across. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that I like to preach is like, don't restrict yourself with recovery. Like recovery is a way to live. It's not like it's a path. It's just a way to live. It's not like this restriction list, and I think that's how I keep myself happy. Is like, I just live like a normal human being.
Yeah, man. No, it's such a great point, dude. I mean, I know I've woken up many days and I just want to I say this sometimes. I just want to be fucking normal. I just want to live a normal life. I know I have an issue with drugs and alcohol, but it's funny. Drugs and alcohol, we tend to demonize it so much, Obviously, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that drugs and alcohol are not a problem, especially on a distribution level when people are dealing drugs in different cities, and it's a huge issue. But what I am saying is that when we look at it from an individual perspective, drugs and alcohol are not the ultimate problem for me. It's a me problem. It's me, and I have to take that on and be responsible for that and fix myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's a good point in not getting boxed in this little bubble where we're safe and we're not exposed to the outside stuff, and then we're not practicing those principles of reaching out and helping other people that still may be going through it. Because I know for me, when I see somebody who is fucking strung out or they're having a hard time, dude, it's tough because it brings back feelings, and your immediate response is maybe like, oh shit, man, I don't know but that's not doing justice to the program. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that to be honest, I hate about I don't know. I guess I can say as the more and more recovery becomes mainstream, the more and more the atmosphere of it changes. Where, I don't think a lot of people fully understand it, and then you have a lot of people that are spokesmen of it that don't understand it, and they pollute people's minds. There's this is one of the biggest things I hate. I saw there's a couple of groups that have these T-shirts and stuff like that, and it says "shoot your local heroin dealer."
Yeah, right? I saw those, dude. Those are fucking whack, dude.
Yeah, and it's I always argue, and people will in these recovery groups be sharing these articles of drug dealers busted, and they're like, oh, they should just kill them all and this and that, and it's all right, just how me and you have the disease of addiction. And we experimented with drugs, and it was something that we didn't expect to happen. Yeah. A lot of these drug dealers, what people have to understand is they grow up, and most of them grow up in communities that have no opportunity. Yeah. They don't have a lot of guidance. They're very poor, and somebody says, "Hey, man, look, you sell this, they see a way out," just how we see a way out with drugs, with our emotions. They see a way out physically, with selling drugs. And that's why I try to reach out to not only addicts, but, gang members, people that sell drugs, people that, look, man, if you're struggling with something, I don't care what it is, I'm going to take these same lessons and try to use them to help you make your life better the right way, and that's what I'm saying. I hate how everybody's always saying we need to end the stigma on addiction, but then you are so quick to persecute other people that have their own problems. Oh, he's a pervert because he's a sex addict, or oh, we should kill him because he sells drugs. No, we have to have this same compassion that we ask for.
Yeah, it kind of goes against the whole concept. I mean, it's super hypocritical, I guess, in a sense. Yeah. It doesn't really make much sense. I'm glad you bring it up too, because it is real. We're trying to reach out, and we got to be, we got to remember where we came from, I guess, to a point, which when we start doing well, sometimes it's easy to let that ego get, to let the ego grow. So I think, if we are talking about recovery programs and stuff, I didn't have a sponsor for a long time. And I kind of thought I kind of thought I was doing okay. And I guess I was doing okay. But when I finally did get a sponsor, and it wasn't like a forced thing too, because I always hated that how people, you get out and you get a sponsor immediately. I get it. I'm not advising anybody to not do that if that's, it's, whatever works best for you. But when it was forced and people tell me what to do, I didn't want to do it for some reason. And so when it worked itself out and I found a sponsor and stuff and have that guidance from somebody to help, and it could be a friend too. I mean, maybe you don't have to put a label on it that's a sponsor. Maybe it's a community of folks that help, that are real with you, that help to keep you in check. And will tell you, hey, you're kind of stepping out of line here, or you're kind of being a dick, or whatever it is. We definitely need that in our lives, and surrounding ourselves in positive communities and not ones that can bring us down.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to practice what you preach at the end of the day. You know,
For sure.
that's how I feel, man. Like, you have to practice what you preach.
So I want to, I just have a couple more questions for you, and then we'll wrap this thing up, man.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the things that is, I should probably start a separate show about this. But so I'll kind of leave it general and vague, and maybe you and I can chat more about this later on or something. But one of the things that's obviously going on in society, in our culture, in this country right now, it's very divided. It's very divided between between race, religion, all that stuff. Now, to me, there's a very precise and organized, kind of plan to execute these types of things. And the one thing I love about recovery or addiction or whatever, it's a movement that doesn't discriminate. It comes together. It's all different people: gay, straight, black, white, fat, skinny. I mean, any kinds of people. We all have that same thing, and it's helping to bring people together. I just kind of wanted to hear your take on without getting too specific, or actually get specific if you feel like it. But like, do you kind of feel that? Do you feel the division going on? And then do you kind of feel at least how in the recovery community there is some unity there that's helping to bring folks together?
Yeah, that's something that I always preach. I always say, like, I think the world could benefit from doing a 12-step program.
Yeah,
everybody.
Hell
yeah. Because only one step's really about alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
Everything else is about other stuff. So, I always tell people, like, that's one thing. Like, I talk to my guys about. Like I said, a lot of those guys are from bad areas. The majority of them are African American, or Spanish. So, they dealt with a lot of stuff I didn't have to deal with.
Yeah.
And they do have some of that, I guess, that lack of trust, towards people of different races and things like that, because they have a different perspective. And, I always, preach to them that, like, look, man, you got to just surround yourself with similar principles. At the end of the day, if I'm white, you're black, he's Spanish, and, he's Muslim, I'm Christian, and he's an atheist. But like we kind of all believe in the same life philosophies. Like, that's what we have to look at. And that's something, that is why we're at where we are. And I'm a big, like, I wouldn't say a conspiracy theorist, because I think that, like, that's like a term to make people crazy. Yeah. Like, it's only a conspiracy because the media says so.
Yeah. Dude, exactly.
Which is the problem. But a lot of these labels and boundaries have been placed on people to do exactly what it's doing today. Because, at the end of the day, like, the only people that benefit from white privilege or things like that are like this top 1% of people, and if we're, out of just pure numbers, if everybody was unified, people couldn't pull half the bullshit they do nowadays. So,
that's why that divide and conquer strategy is always so relevant, and that's what the especially the mainstream media really tries to accomplish with that. So it's been hard for me to, especially on this show, to kind of, because I always want to just keep it about the same type of stuff, but I feel like it's starting to fall into that sometimes, and it does kind of coincide with recovery to an extent. But I'm with you, man. Yeah, I think that's legit right there.
The song on my EP called "Lied to You." I think you have the SoundCloud link. You listen to that after the show, because that's exactly what that song is about. It's called "Lied to You." It's all about just getting lied to by the media and the general public's thoughts, and telling you that you look this way, you look that way, you do this, you do that, so you can only achieve these certain things. And like the black guy from the hood can only be a basketball player, a dope dealer. The white guy from the burbs, he can't be a rapper. He can only be a business owner. And when he is a business owner, it's probably all given to him because he's a rich white kid. Like these certain, like, thoughts that
social engineering
stereotypes. Yeah, man. That's real. What it is. Hey.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna have to chat more about this at a later date. I'm sure about that. I got two more for you. First one: top 3 hip hop artists of all time.
Oh man, this is
or
like,
give me your 3 favorite.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to put it out like this. Like, my favorite of all time, the person I think the greatest rapper of all time is Jay-Z. And simply because, I'm a huge Tupac fan, a huge Biggie fan.
Yeah,
They were great, but I'm just talking about like the length of like success that man had. And if you really go through his catalog, like he doesn't have a bad song.
Yeah.
And he has 500 songs, 600 songs out, and that's like my role. That's who I look up to in music. I would say him, Biggie, and damn, this is always hard. This is the hard part. There's so many I like, man. But maybe Eminem. But Eminem when he's on his when he's actually like on his game, because Eminem did have like a time where he put out a lot of trash music.
What's up with him, man? I haven't heard much about him in quite a while. I don't know if there's something I'm missing, or I was thinking about that the other day, because every once in a while I'll put in the Recovery album. That's one of my favorite albums he did, I think, because I thought it was real, and I thought there was a lot of great content in there about what he was going through, and it was highly relatable, of course, to my own struggles. But I don't know is he put out any new music? Is he still doing shit? Like what's up with him?
He's doing a lot of features with people from what I see. I mean, you gotta realize, man, he's like in his mid-40s. He's a multi-millionaire. Like, like what does he need to rap for? You know what I mean?
Know.
Like,
that's so true.
He busted his ass for 20 years and he's super rich. And,
well, touring's got to be a tough job, especially for that many years, over and over, constantly being gone, especially if you got kids. So I would imagine at some point you want to stop and fucking create a clothing or a beverage company and just kick back on your couch and watch some movies or something,
Yeah, he's pushing other artists though.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I just toured with Bubba Sparks, and I just did a mini tour with Jelly Roll.
Nice.
I don't know if you ever heard of Jelly Roll, but he's really dope. He's like an underground artist, but they all mess with Slum American, which is under Shady Records through Yellow Wolf. So he has like a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. I do know that from just talking to them, trying to get Yellow Wolf. I think Yellow Wolf's probably the person he wants to push, but he's having his own fight with his own demons right now. So they made him.
Really?
They made him kind of take a step back and get his mind right until and then they're gonna go ahead and push him.
That trunk music album he put out, dude. Seriously, I had my daughter around that time when that came out. She was just a baby, and My Box Chevy was the only song I could get her to go to sleep to. I don't know if it was like the little, just like the lullaby part in the beginning, kind of. That song, that whole album though is super dope. That's one of those albums that like I'll put in and I'll just, it you know how music can take you to a place back in time, like this feeling that you get, and it's so crazy, man. Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Two other. Oh wait, who was your third? Did you say the third or no? I think we started talking.
I said Jay-Z, Biggie, and Eminem.
Oh, and Eminem. That's right. Okay, yeah. We started talking about Eminem. That's what it was. Okay, two more quick ones. What made you get clean, man? What was that kind of light bulb moment for you?
Man, I just got tired of. Like I said, man, I knew I had to get clean or I had to die, and I was scared to die at the end of the day. Yeah.
If anyone out there's listening right now, they're struggling, they're going through it, or they got a loved one who's struggling, going through it right now. They want to help, they want to get help, or they want to help them. They don't know what to do, where to turn. Maybe not necessarily giving resources, but what kind of advice can you give them? We'll make sure we have resources in the show notes on Sober Guy page, of course, but what kind of advice could you give them, or just some hope or thoughts you could give them to help steer them in the right direction, Mike?
But my whole thing is it can't be any worse than what they're going through now. Being clean, it's scary and uncomfortable, but if you just get through the first couple months of the uncomfortability and the first year of your brain not working right because you've been messing it up for so long, after that, man, it's really there's endless possibilities, and it's not always easy. And Especially once you get clean for a couple of years, that's when life really shows up. And
Yeah.
really, that's when it really gets
Sure.
stressful. The halfway house life is easy compared to real life. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, I would just say the more structure, the better in the beginning. You know, I'm a big advocate for some kind of aftercare program after detox or treatment, even if it's just a good sober living house. Like, the more accountability, the better. You know, if you're a mid-20s guy, like most of the people that get clean, you know, don't go live at your parents' house. You know, go somewhere that's structured and just do stuff differently than you've been doing your whole life. And, you know, you're going to get different results. That's just what it comes down to.
Right on, Mike. If anyone wants to reach out to you, find more about your music, social media accounts, anything like that, where could they find you at?
You can, Facebook's usually the best. You can send me a personal friend request to Mike Gambo, Gambo, or you can follow my fan page, Gambo. And, you know, also follow the Soundpath Recovery page, which is just Soundpath, one word, Recovery on Facebook. You know, pretty much reach me at any of those things. I would say that's the best. I really don't do Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Gambo302. And yeah, that's really the only social media stuff I mess with.
Right on.
I suck at Twitter, so.
Yeah, I know it's not one of my favorites. One of my favorites either. I feel like I get lost in it sometimes. I try to do stuff there. There's definitely some pros out there that can handle that kind of stuff. But hey, dude, thank you so much, man, for coming on today. Dude, I appreciate the hell out of your work. You're doing some great work, some great music, and some great work in the recovery industry and helping a lot of folks out there, man. So good on you, my friend, and thank you for coming on Sober Guy Radio, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, bro. Thank you. Hey, I'll actually be out in Nashville at the Foundations event. So,
oh yeah, so you're gonna be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be out there.
Oh, nice, dude. Sweet.
Yep. And then I go on tour straight from there. I drive to Cincinnati for the first thing of a 10-day tour. So
getting it. I love it, man. Hell yeah.
So I'll see you out there. I'll say what's up.
For more information, go to thatsoberguy.com. Peace, love, respect. Keep your blood